In 2011, natural disasters brought devastation throughout the globe. Earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and flooding affected the lives of families on every continent. Suffering can never be completely avoided, but personal and family preparedness can make all the difference between catastrophic disaster and a loss that can be endured. In September, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Lakeside Park, Kentucky, hosted a safety and emergency preparedness seminar for the community. Broadcast veteran Lisa Ripley was on hand to highlight some specific steps that families can take to prepare themselves in case of emergency.
Have you ever heard of a 911 emergency simulator? It's a great tool, especially for children. It teaches them the importance of the 911 emergency system and how to use it.
911 operator, what is your emergency?
Hi, my sister fell down a flight of stairs.
Listen carefully and follow my instructions.
So what do you think that children walk away from after having attended this booth?
They don't have that fear of the unknown after they've done like the 911 simulator, because they're scared when they're told, don't call this unless it's an emergency. The police or fire department will show up if it's not an emergency. They need to know that a friendly voice is there to help them when they need the help.
So what's the most important information you're talking to people about today?
We can certainly respond, and we can certainly clear the roadways. We can remove the trees, and we can work with the utility companies to restore power and those type things. But what we can't do is deliver some of the life critical needs that people have, immediately to their homes. And that's why we encourage people be prepared, have a preparedness kit in place, have enough water and food to sustain your family for at least a 3-day period.
So people are walking away from your booth today. What is it that you hope they remember?
I want them to think about putting a disaster kit together. That's going to include water, food, extra clothing, flashlights, wind-up type of radios, that type of thing. Put a little extra money in because ATM cards are not going to work if we don't have electricity. Maybe some entertainment. Deck of cards, card games, things for the kids. You want some extra clothes. Wear clothes like wintertime, something that's warm. Summertime, you're going to want sunscreen, hats. You just want to have a few essentials. So if there is a disaster and you have to leave your house, that you're going to be ready.
What do we need to do to prepare our pets for disaster? A lot of times we think about our families, but we don't always think about our pets.
Well, like I said before, with the backpack, we're going to make sure we've got plenty of food, bottled water, and these are great things here. Portable food and water containers. You can get them at any local pet store, and they'll hold a quart here, and it's good to have these. So once you're done with them, you can throw them away. Make sure you have a favorite toy that your dog likes, some comfort, because if we're in a panic mode, our animals are going to feed off of that too, so they may get in a panic mode too. So we need that comfort with our animals too.
What are you doing here today?
Well, we just thought it would be a good opportunity to come down and help the kids as well as the grown-ups understand whether we're prepared and what else we could do to become more prepared.
And have you ever found yourself in the middle of a disaster?
Well, yeah, we all think it's something that could happen to someone else eventually, but with the number of disasters happening today, I think it's hard to avoid. We actually lived in Manhattan during 9/11, but even before that, there were 2 blizzards that shut down the city. We lived through the blackout where we had to walk and power was gone for a couple of days. So we've definitely had to experience it on a personal basis as well.
So tell me about being in New York on 9/11.
Well, that's a very hard question to answer and very personal to everybody too. It affected everybody across the world in very different ways, but certainly there was the immediate impact of who did we know and emotional reactions. I used to walk through those buildings every day to go to work, and just seeing the loss and the postings everywhere. We had a friend who was a doctor, and they all were at the hospitals waiting for the hordes of people to come in, and nobody came, and lots of things like that. But the next thing, of course, is you want to take care of your family. And so I think the city takes care of the big picture things and the emergency service people, but we worried about whether we were prepared and what we would do once we got home with our families. We had a family a friend of ours that lived under one of the bridges, and there were some threats later in the day. People were worried that there were going to be follow-up, and there were a lot of follow-up disasters, and there were lots of rumors floating around. And so we had a family actually come and stay with us And what was neat about that family is they taught us a lesson of preparedness. They all had their backpacks ready, and they just grabbed them and ran to our house, and they were ready with food and diapers for the babies and clothes and sleeping material and everything. So we definitely got more prepared after that.
Having lived through an experience like that, what has it taught you?
The main thing is I think that we should all expect that we will be in some sort of disaster in our life, and it may be a personal disaster like unemployment or something that happens to our personal home, but you've seen the flooding recently, the hurricanes that went up the East Coast, even power outages. I think it'd be surprising if we didn't face a personal disaster of some sort in our life, so we need to be prepared.